So, hear me out, yeah? And I promise to be honest, this is not how I intended my day to go, but I'm so glad that it did end up this way. So, I dressed up in the morning to go on a shoot to model this sweater, and my God, my friends are so spontaneous and very fun. And see, this is where we ended up in the jungle. I am so glad that I said yes to this adventure. Hey, my name is Marion, and I'm here to show you how I made this sweater. If you're new here to the channel, welcome, and please consider to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling me what you like the most about this sweater. Welcome, and let's have all the fun that we can. So basically, this is the outline of the sweater. We will work two identical patterns, and then we work two identical sleeves, and then we will work the seams to join everything together and work the neck area, and we will be done. So stick around as we dive in and see how to go about this particular stitch. It's a bit perforated and very beautiful, as you have seen the pictures and the outcome of everything. And I'm so glad that we're doing this, so stick around and let's just dive into it. The sleeves are done as a panel, and then we work as a seam all together. And as you can see, the cuffs, this is the cuffs. It's done using the front post double crochet, and I love how the front post double crochet is flowing from the sleeve all through to the wrist area, giving it a neat finish, and it's very easy to work. So stick around as we work all this together to the completion of the sweater. So these are the materials that you need to construct this sweater. As you had seen before, you need your tape measure to get your measurements, and for this you will use your bust measurements and the length of the sweater. You need to know those two. And then of course for the sleeves, you will need to get the width of the sleeve, how bulky you want your sleeve, and then the wrist area is also important. And for the yarn, I'm using two colors, the mustard and white. For the mustard, this is medium weight and it's Winter King 4-ply. This particular yarn is 50 grams and it's medium weight, as you can see. And for this other ball, the white one is also 50 grams, 100% acrylic. But since it's very thin, I am going to be doubling these strands to achieve the medium weight. So if you compare these two, this doubled is equal to the Winter King. So this is what I will be using. I will double these strands, but I will use a single strand for the yellow one. Now I will also be using my pair of scissors. I have my yarn needle and also the stitch markers. And for my hook, I am going to be using a 4.0 millimeter crochet hook. So without wasting so much time, let's just get into the video and see how we are going to be constructing this sweater. So this is the foundation of what we are doing, because I've started working on the other panel. Remember, during sweaters we work two panels and then join them together. So this is my first panel, and I'm going to talk to you about the hem of the sweater. Now as you can see here, the hem of the sweater is a bit elastic because I used this ribbing stitch that is single crochet in the back loop only. And once I had the desired measurement for this part, which is my bust measurement divided by 2, that is 17 plus 5. So this part is 22 inches, but the proceeding part is not 22 inches because I have increased stitches on this part in order for the sweater to be a bit bulky. So this is how I did, and this is what I did after I was done with the hem of the sweater. I did some increases, and I will show you how I went about increasing this part to a point that the sweater part is so big, and it's bigger than the hem part. So without wasting time, let me just go into, let us go into details together. So to begin your work, you're going to grab your first color, and for me that is the mustard, and then your hook, and you will make a slip knot like this, and we are going to chain a total of 10 plus 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The reason as to why we are adding this 1 is for it to act as our turning chain. So we will skip this first stitch and go into the next, insert your hook and pull up a loop like that. You have 2 on your hook, yarn over and pull through them all. Go into the next stitch, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop like that. Go into the next stitch, yarn over and go, okay. Once you have the 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. So we are going to be pulling the yarn. Once you pull the yarn and you have two stitches on your hook like that, 2 loops on your hook like that, you will yarn over and pull through the 2. So insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, like that. So this is the single crochet, and it is the stitch that we are going to be using to make that ribbing at the hem of the sweater. So you will chain 1 at the end of the row, turn your work, and when you turn like this V's on top, we are going to be inserting our hook in one of the loops, not both of them like this, but we will insert in the back loop. So you will insert your hook like that, yarn over, pull through, you have 2 on your hook, yarn over and pull through them all. Insert your hook in the next loop, you have 2, yarn over and pull through them all. So we're going to do this until we get to the end of the row, and by the end of the row you should have 10 stitches, or the number that you started with at the beginning. So once you complete until the end of that row, you are going to chain 1, turn your work, just as we did on the second row. We are going to do this until you have your desired length. I am going to work mine until I have 22 inches long. And this 22 is because I divided my bust measurements. My bust measurement is 34. Divided it by 2, I got 17, and then I added 5. So that gives me a total of 22 inches. If you have 40, your bust measurements are 40, you will get 20. That is half of 40, and then you add 5, and that is the length you start with at the hem of the sweater. So we are going to be working this ribbing until I have 22 inches, and then I will come back and we'll continue together the rest of the part. So this is what we are working. This is the area that we are working, this part here. So I'm going to work until I have an equivalent length, and then I will come back and then we will continue working the proceeding areas together. I went ahead to complete my ribbing, and if I give it a light stretch, it gives me 22 inches of a band. So we are done with this part, and the next part that we're doing is we're going to to chain one. I have already chained one, and then I'm going to insert my hook on this very row. It will get one single crochet, and then the next row gets another single crochet. Like, we are going to insert another single crochet in between these two rows, and then on this row we will place a single crochet. The next row is right here, it will get a single crochet, and in between the two rows right here we will also insert a single crochet. So instead of it just having a single crochet here and here, we are also increasing, we are putting another single crochet there to just increase our stitches. So we are having 3 instead of 2. Normally we'd place a single crochet here and another here, and then go to the next and place here and here, but we are including this part for them to be 3. So the third one is acting as our increase. That's why we can see on this part our work is going like this, because it actually indicates that we have increased our stitches. So if you measure this part, it's definitely some inches longer. It's giving us 27 inches, and remember we had just started with 22. So the reason as to why we are increasing is because we want our sweater to be baggy, but the waist area shouldn't be so baggy. It should be at least snatching. And let's continue. We are placing a single crochet on this row, another one here, and in between those two rows we place another single crochet. So we are going to continue until we get to the end of the row by placing those 3 single crochets right there. So at this part we're just cleaning off and giving our next part like a foundation row. So we're working and giving our work a foundation row where we will start working our double crochets going forward. So continue working this part until you get to the end, and I will meet you and show you what we are doing in the next row. So now once you're done cleaning off this area, we are going to start working our double crochets, and this is how to go about it. You will just chain 2, turn your work, and then on top of this next single crochet we will insert our hook, pull up a loop. You have 3, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook in the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You have 3, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. I am going to work double crochets until I get to the end of this row. So all we're doing is double crochets until you get to the end of the row. Now, once you're done with the double crochets, for the next part, this is what we're going to do. You will chain 2, turn your work, and then we're going to work a front post double crochet in the next double crochet like this. So you insert your hook around that stitch from behind like this, and then you yarn over and pull through, and now you can work a double crochet. And then we are going to chain 2, 1, 2, and work another front post after skipping 1, 2 stitches. Now you can work another front post on this double crochet right here, and then chain 2, go around this stitch and work a front post double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, go around the next stitch and work a front post double crochet. We have started working the bumps on our pattern, so this is what we are working to achieve. We are right here where we are working to create the bumps at the bottom of the sweater, and then they will form the foundation of how our sweater's pattern originates from. So this is what we are doing. We chain 2, skip 2 stitches, this and this, go around the next stitch like that, and work a front post double crochet. So this is what you should have, and we will do this until we get to the end of the row. 1, 2, go around the next stitch and form a front post double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, go around the third and do a front post double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, go around the next and form that front post double crochet. So you will do this until you get to the end of the row. I'm going to do that off camera. Now, in case this happens to you, you run out of stitches and you need one to complete your pattern, this is how to go about it. Instead of skipping 2 just as we have been, I'm going to skip 1, make this my front post double crochet, and then complete with a double crochet right here. We needed 2 stitches just like the rest of them in between those 2 front post double crochets, but since we don't have enough, I'm going to skip just 1. So I'm going to chain 2, skip 1 instead of skipping 2, and then work my front post double crochet here, and then on top of that chain 2 stitch, we are going to work a double crochet to complete our work. It doesn't really give much of a difference, though this should have been 2 stitches. Now, as you can see, at the beginning we had this chain 2 and then the front post, and also at the end we have the front post and then the very last double crochet. So that is how we will be starting and completing our rows. This has to be there just before our last stitch is a front post. Just before our first stitch is a front post. So to begin here, we are going to chain 2 and then turn our work like that, and where we have this bump here, we're going to make sure that it remains, and this is how we'll go about it. We will go around the stitch like that after yarning over. So you yarn over, go around this stitch to retain the front post like that, and then work a double crochet. You see, so that ensures that our stitch is still raising just like the rest of them, and then we will work 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space, 1, 2 double crochets, and then work another front post here to ensure the bump still remains, because that is how our pattern is. And then you will yarn over and go into the chain 2 space and work 2 double crochets. So this is what you should be having at this point. Let me show you from this other. This is the part that we are working, where we have these two double crochets, and then to retain this front post we have worked our front post, and then we work our 2 double crochets, and then the front post, and then 2 double crochets like that. So that is what we are doing. And to just recap how we're working that, we will just yarn over and then go around this stitch, make that double crochet, and then continue 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space, and then do a front post. So if you turn your work like this, this is what you should be having on the right side, and on the left side this is how it should appear. So I'm gonna work the remaining part off camera, and then I will show you how to complete the row and to start the next. Now once you get to this part, I'm coming towards the end of that row. You will work your front post double crochet, and then the 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space, and then you work your last front post double crochet, and then on top of this chain 2 space it has to also get a double crochet, so you will work your double crochet right there, and now we are done with that row, and this is what you should be having. This is how it should appear at this point. And remember, this is a 2 row repeat, so we are going to work this row. I am going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn my work, and on top of the front post we will work a front post. Always where the front post is, it will always take a front post, and then at this point we are going to work this chain 2 space. So you chain 2 and then you skip over the 2 double crochets and go directly to the front post and work a front post like that. You see, we are retaining the swelling, we are retaining these risen parts, and that is the beauty of this stitch. So you chain 2, skip the 2 double crochets and go over that double crochet and work that front post double crochet like that. So this is what we're going to do until we get to the end of the row, and once we are done we will also work this part, and we will repeat that until we are ready to introduce our white yarn. Or if you're working with just one color, you will continue working this until you get done with the panel. But since we are still here, let's work this part and see how we complete this row and introduce the next, and then now we can work off camera and complete our panels. So I have done a total of 23 rows for this part, and if we are counting the cluster rows, like the ones that are protruding, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So these are 11 clusters, and in total my work is at 10 inches long. I want to go ahead and change colors. I've been working with the mustard. Now I want to introduce white, but before I do so, let's just look at the back side of our work. This is how it looks like, and if you kind of expand it, it's looking like this. It's kind of a mesh stitch, and this is how the front looks like. I really do love the effect of the front, the front, these stitches over here. I kind of love how they are bringing this beautiful texture. So I want to cut this yarn and introduce the white. So this is how I usually join my yarns. Remember, I had told you that I'm going to be doubling my white strands to achieve medium weight yarn, but in this, the mustard color, I was using a medium weight yarn. So now I'm going to make a slip knot. I will make a slip knot like this, and then once I have my slip knot, I will insert it through the 2 loops on my hook like that. And then, sorry, I cut my yarn too close, but this is how to go about it. Once you have this inserted through those 2 loops, you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn your work. Now at this point we are going to do, in this stitch over here, we are going to do a front post double crochet where we are just yarning over insert our hook through behind this stitch as we have always done, and then yarn over and pull through and then yarn over and go ahead and pull through two, yarn over and pull through two, like that. We have made our front post double crochet, and then we are going to chain two and go to the next stitch. Insert your hook behind that stitch like that to make a front post double crochet. Pull through, you have three on your hook, yarn over and pull through two, yarn over and pull through two, like that. And you're going to chain one, two, cross over to the next stitch, the front post double crochet, go behind the stitch and do a double crochet like that, and then chain two, go to the next. We are going to do this until we get to the end of the row. So once you get at the end of that row, we are going to chain two, one, two, and turn our work and continue working the pattern. Where we have a front post double crochet, we are going to insert one, and then we are going to place two double crochets in the chain two space, one and two, and then continue with that front post double crochet to retain the pattern. And then we are going to do our next stitch, which is the two double crochets, and then we do the front post double crochet, and then we continue with the two double crochets in the chain two space like that, and then we maintain that front post double crochet in the next stitch. And then once we have that in, we do the two double crochets that follow. Once we have those, we do our front post double crochet and do the next two double crochets. Now once you look at the front side of your work, this is what you should be having. And turn your work. And now we're going to be doing we do the front post double crochet and then chain two, and then in the front post double crochet we will do a front post double crochet, chain two, go to the front post double crochet and do a double crochet like that, and chain two, and we will continue with that pattern and achieve at least half of the sweater that we're making. So we are going to make 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 going upwards. I went ahead to complete the white part, and in total my sweater is about 18 inches. Now this part took 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. I have worked 11 of these clusters, just as we had worked this part of the yellow, the mustard I mean. Now the next part that we're going to do is the shoulder part, but before we map that out, we need to get to know how big our neck is going to be. I'm going to leave a total of 10 inches. So since I had a total of 26 inches, I'm gonna get 8 inches on each side. So I'm counting these boxes 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11, and the same way this other side will have 11 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So we mark that with our stitch markers, and now since we are here, we're gonna work just 2 rows over on this part. Let me show you on the other panel that I have already worked. This is what we're going to do. We're going to work a cutout that will map out the neck area, and this is going to be our shoulder. So our shoulder seam will be here, another shoulder seam here, and this is going to be the neck area where our head will go through. So we are going to work these 2 rows, this one and this one, because this is also a row, this is a row, and this is a row. So that these are the 2 rows that we're going to work. And as we do that, we'll do some sort of reducing here, just to bring out the shape of the neck. Now this is how we're going to go about it. Just as we have done with the rest of the rows, we will chain 2, turn our work, and we're gonna go into this stitch and do a front post double crochet, and then chain 2, go to the next with a front post double crochet, and chain 2, go to the next. We will do this until we get to the marked area. Let me work that off camera. Now I'm at the part where I marked with a stitch marker, but remember we said we are gonna do like a reduction here. So this is what I'm going to do. Instead of chaining 2 and going into the next one, I'm gonna just do a front post double crochet in the next front post double crochet like that, and that part is done. This is how it should look like this, just an abandoned V, and that is exactly what we have worked here. So we are going to stop there and leave the neck area open, and chain 2, 1 2, turn my work and go to the next double chain 2 space. This one, this is the space we are going into, and work 2 double crochets like that, and then work that front post, and then go into the next with those 2 double crochets, work the front post like that, and then work the 2 double crochets, and we'll continue with this pattern until we get to the end of the row. So once you get to the end of the row, we are going to chain 1 and cut. And now since this part is done, the first side of the shoulder seam, we are going to cross over to the next side, this other side, and do exactly what we have done on one side. Now remember we had our stitch marker here, but we closed on this part where we did our reduction. That is exactly what we are going to do. So we mark the next stitch after the stitch that is marked, and then make your slip knot and insert your hook on the yarn and pull that tightly onto that stitch, and then we are going to chain 2, 1 2, and go directly after chaining 2. We're going to go directly to this stitch like that, and then we continue with the chaining. You chain 2, go to the next and make a front post double crochet, chain 2, go to the next and make a front post double crochet like this. But now when we are doing the double crochets, we will do them until this stitch. So chain 2, go into the next front post and do a front post like that. I'm gonna do that until I get to the end of the row. So once you get to the end of the row, you will make sure you have that very last stitch on top of the chain two stitch right there, and then you're gonna chain two, turn your work, and go into that back stitch and make it a front post double crochet like that. And then you are going to do those two double crochets, make the front post double crochet, make two double crochets, and we're gonna continue this until we get to the part where we marked with a stitch marker. I am approaching that part where we marked with a stitch marker, and I'm going to work the front post double crochet in this stitch and then do the two double crochets, and then we're gonna work our front post double crochet in the stitch where we marked, and then you yarn over and do a double crochet on top of this chain two that we started with. And just like that, we are done with that part. So the next time we meet, you're going to work the same for another panel so that you have a front and back panel. And then when we are meeting up next, because I've been working simultaneously, I have my two panels. So when we meet up next, we are going to work the sleeves, and then we will join the entire sweater and we'll be done. So this is going to be the measurement of my sleeve. It's going to be 8 inches deep and around 17 inches long, 17 to 18 inches long. Now, this is how to achieve. We will start from this part going downwards. We will first work a rectangle and then put it together. There's this part here where I have done a seam. There's a seam over here, and there's the ribbing part. I love how flowy it is, like it's like you're pouring from the sleeve to the cuff. As you can see, the ribbed area is just continuous into the cuff part. It's very beautiful. I will show you how to achieve all this, and without wasting so much time, let's just get right into it. As I've said, we are going to start from this part, so I'm going to construct a cord long enough to be 16 inches, and then we will work down the pattern. So to begin, I am going to make, you see these boxes, they are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20. So the chain that I'm going to make, I am going to ensure that the double crochets that I make on this part are going to be divided into 20 equal parts as these ones. So I'm going to chain 63. So make a slip knot, and we are starting with the white yarn because we want that to be on top, and then the mustard will be at the bottom. So I have chained 63, and once you have your chain, you will count and go into the fourth. So 1 2 3 4. The rest of the chain, they're just acting as our turning chain, and then we are going to make double crochets. So I have inserted my hook in this fourth chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. I have 3 on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch and work a double crochet. Also yarn over and go into the next stitch and work a double crochet. I'm going to work these double crochets until I get to the end of the row without skipping any stitches. So just work double crochets until you have 61 double crochets, or the number that you're working with. Just make sure that it's equivalent to the length, or rather the width of the sleeve that you're constructing. So I'm going to make this until I get to the end of the row. So by the end of the row, you should have something like this. So once you have your double crochets in, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And on this first stitch, you're going to grab a front post and work that double crochet. And then we are going to chain 2, skipping these 2 stitches and going into the next with a front post double crochet like that. And then we're going to chain 2, skip these 2 stitches and go into the front post into the next and work a front post double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, go into the next and work a front post double crochet. We are going to work this until we get to the end of the row. I am at the end of the row and I'm gonna work the last front post double crochet like so, and with a double crochet on top of that, chain 2, we work a double crochet like that. So we are done with that second row, and I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, and now work this back post double crochet in the front post double crochet, and then work 2 double crochets here. In the front post double crochet, we ensure it retains the bump, and then I'm gonna go into the chain 2 space and work 2 double crochets. Now we are continuing with the same pattern that we did on the panels of the sweater. No difference at all, just the same thing as we've been doing. So I'm gonna work this until I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 of them, and this constitutes how many inches of my work? Around 8 inches. So if you stretch it a bit, it gives you 8 inches, but remember the whole thing is gonna be 16 inches, but if you stretch, it's actually 18 inches. So I'm counting on stretching and all, but just know I have worked 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 rows of white, and then another 10 rows of yellow. And then now at this point we'll just do the ribbing part. So work the white or the particular color that you have, and then you will add the next color, and then you should be done, and we will work this part together. So I went ahead to do 10 of the whites, 1 2 3 4 9 10, and 10 of the mustard, 1 2. We are going to do the cuff, and then I will show you how to attach how to do the seam right here. We'll do the seam, and then from there we can attach the sleeve to the sweater itself. Now once you get to this point, you're going to fold your sleeve like this, and of course your hook will be at this point here. So what we're going to do is we are going to attach the 2 sides together. So you will insert your hook on the chain 2 on this side right here, and then pull up a loop, and you have attached the 2 sides. And then we are going to chain 2, 1 2, and continue going in this direction. We will skip this stitch over here and go directly into the front post double crochet and do a front post double crochet, and then also skip the 2 double crochets and go directly into the front post double crochet and do a front post double crochet. So we are skipping the 2 double crochets and going directly into the front post double crochet and working a front post double crochet. This will ensure that our sleeve is reduced to a point where it fits at on our wrist accurately without being too baggy. So I'm going to do this front post double crochets until I get to the end of the row. So I've gone around working those front post double crochets, and remember, when you get here, we had this double crochet just before we completed the row. We are also going to assume that that's also a front post double crochet and put a front post double crochet there, and then on top of the chain two that we started with, we are going to slip stitch and complete that row like that. And then we will chain two, 1 2, and now we are going to go directly to the front post double crochet and do a front post double crochet, go to the next front post and do a front post. So we are doing front post double crochets all around, and once we get back we will be done with the second part, the second row of that. So just front post double crochets on top of the front post double crochets from the previous row. So once you get to this point, we are still doing the front post double crochets. Make sure each and every front post double crochets get a front post double crochet, and then you're going to slip stitch on top of that stitch, the chain two, and then chain two and begin to do another row of front post double crochets. Now I want you to continue working that part until you have a total of 1 2 3 4 5 rows of the front post double crochets, and this is how the inside should look like. So keep working that part until you have a total of 5, and then we will meet up and do the seam together. Now once you have your cuff done, you will realize that we still have this gap here that we need to fill. So we are going to turn our work to the wrong side like this. This is how your work should be looking like. And then we will pass this yarn to the other side also. So pass it through like that. And then we are going to work our way down. So through here we will just slip stitch and then continue working single crochets to work the seam downwards. Now this is how you go about it. We are going to slip stitch on each and every row. We just slip stitch there once, and then to the next row we slip stitch once. We go to the next row, slip stitch. We go to the next row, slip stitch, and then we get to this part also and slip stitch in there like that. And then once we get to that part, you will realize that we have gotten to the part where the gap is wide open, and now we need to start working our single crochets. And now I want you to be very careful because we want our stitches to align, so you'll be getting each and every row. So we're working on this row, our very last row on the sleeve before we started working the cuff. You realize these 2 double crochets, we go in there and work our first single crochet, and then go to the next and work our next single crochet like that, and then go to this row where we have only the chains, and then we're going to also insert 2 single crochets right there. And then go to the next row and work 2 single crochets. Go to the next row and work 2 single crochets. We're gonna do this. Make sure your stitches are aligning, your rows are also aligning. Now we're going to work this until we get to the end of the mustard part, or whichever color that you have, and then we will switch and go to the white. Okay, so now you realize the rows are aligning, they should, and we are taking the outermost stitch from each and every side to just ensure that we are working a neat seam. So this is what you should be having. Let me go ahead and complete this part, and we'll meet up once I'm about to introduce the white. So once you get to this point and you're done with the 2 single crochets in that very stitch, we are going to make a slip knot and introduce the white yarn over here, and then pull this yellow one, and everything should be tight and secure like that. And now we can cut the mustard. So once the mustard is out of the way, we are going to go directly to the white part and pick the 2 outermost stitches and work our next stitch, which is a single crochet, and also the next stitch, which is also a single crochet in the very row. And then we cross over to the next and pick the outermost stitches and work those 2 single crochets in there, and continue working the single crochets until we get to the end of the row. Remember, make sure your stitches are aligning, your rows are aligning, because we want everything intact and in order. So I'm gonna work with the white until I get to the end of the row. So once you get to this part, you are already done. You're going to chain 1 and then cut your yarn like that. We will fasten and weave in all these ends later, but now let's just turn our sleeve to the right side and see what we have. So having worked the seam, this is what you should be having. These are the 2 front posts that were on each side. So this is how it conceals the seam and looks beautiful like that. And this is where we changed our color, and so this is what we have as far as the sleeve is concerned. So yeah, I hope you are pleased with your work. And now the next part that we're going to work is working all the seams on the sweater and attaching the sleeves to the sweater, and then we will work the neck area. I have completed this seam on one of the shoulders. So one shoulder seam is in. Let us work together the other shoulder seam and see how to go about it. So once you just complete on one side, you will skip over and come to this other side. Grab your hook and insert it through and through to the other side and make a slip knot and just pull this yarn through like that. Of course, we will fasten everything else later, but you will chain 1 and continue working single crochets. Now, we will insert our first single crochet in this stitch and then go to the other side and insert the hook through and yarn over. You have to yarn over, pull through them all, and then insert in the next stitch, also on the next stitch in the other side, and pull through that yarn and you have your single crochet. So we're working these single crochets on top here until the end of the row, and be careful not to skip any. We want our shoulder seam to be intact. So we will work this until we get to the end, and this is how it looks like. Let me show you on the other side. This is how it looks like, and on the right side it looks something like this. So continue working until your shoulder seam is intact, and we will now work the side seams together. So once you're done with the shoulder seam, you will weave in your ends, and then we are going to map where the sleeve will go. So this is my sleeve, and I'm just gonna place it against my sweater like that, and using the stitch markers we will mark where this is going to end up. So this is the situation. Yeah, we are going to map where the sleeve will end, so that when we are working this seam, we will work until here and then go around this part. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We will insert our hook here and then pass it through to the next panel, and then make a slip knot and pull through the two like that. And now we're going to chain one and go into the next stitch and make a single crochet, go into the next stitch and make a single crochet, into the next single crochet, so once we get here, we're going to insert this single crochet and the next one like that, and then we ensure that this part and this part are aligning. So and then should also align with this part, so we will insert the hook and do those two single crochets in, and go to the next and do the two single crochets, go to the next and do the two single crochets, so we're going to work the two single crochets in each until we get to the white part. So once we get to the end of the mustard part, we will make our slip knot and insert at this point, and then pull tightly and cut the mustard color. And now we want to continue with the white, so I'm going to insert and make sure it's in the first white part. Okay, and make a single crochet, make another single crochet and go to the next stitch and make those two single crochets, go to the next stitch. Remember, we had already marked where our sleeve will start merging with the sweater, so no worries there. Once we get to that part, we will automatically know that's the point where we stop, and we realign our sweater and start working that part. So this is the last row where we are working single crochets on the sweater part, and now we want to cross over and start working the single crochets on this. This is the part where we want to go to, so we will depart from the main sweater and now branch towards this seam. So this is the sleeve and this is the sweater, so we want to work around this armhole. Okay, so as we continue, we will get rid of this stitch marker, and then now as we do this, remember we are placing two double crochets in two single crochets in each and every row, but on the sleeve part we will be placing a single crochet in each and every stitch. So this is how you do it. You insert your hook right here on the sweater part, and then insert your hook in one of the stitches on the sleeve, and then do a single crochet, and then do another stitch inside that part where we had done the previous one, so that very row, and then go to the next stitch on the sleeve, grab and pull through, and then do a single crochet, cross over to the next row, the first stitch, and then one on the sleeve part, and then come back in the same row, and then one stitch on the sleeve part, and do a single crochet. So one row is taking 2 stitches on the sleeve part. So let's do that again. So we go to the next stitch, the next row, I mean this one right here, and then grab a stitch on the sleeve, do a single crochet, the same row, go to the next part on the next stitch on the sleeve, and do a single crochet. Okay, so we are still maintaining 2 stitches on this part, that is the sweater part, the panel, and then you get a single stitch and another stitch on the sleeve part. I'm gonna work this until I get to the brim. So when you get to this part, you can see I'm left with just one row on this side that will take 2 stitches, and on the sleeve part I'm left with 2 stitches, this one and this one. So I'm gonna insert my hook here and then grab a stitch on the sleeve, insert my hook in the same row, and then grab the next stitch and do another single crochet. So we will remove this stitch marker, and now we go towards the lower side, the other side, and what we'll do here is just to cross over, ignoring this seam, just go to the next stitch and do your stitches as you normally would, and now work downwards up to the part where you will get to this seam. Now once you get here, you might want to make sure that your work completely aligns. So we're going to end our seam right here from where we started, and then we will chain 1 and cut the yarn. Now this is what we have. Let me just, let me show you how the right side looks like. This is the right side. After you align all the seams, you see how aligning the seams are and everything is intact. So this is what you should be having once you're done. And yeah, we're done with the sleeves and all the seams. This is how the seam from the hem all the way to the armpit looks like, and this is the other seam that we did on the sleeve. and this is the seam we just made right here to attach the panels to the sleeves. So this is where we are at the moment, and now the only remaining part is the neck area, and that is what we will work on next. So this is our very last part. I've been debating whether to do it in mustard or white. I would love to do it in mustard, but since my mustard yarn is completely done, the part that I'm remaining with, this won't be enough to complete the entire part. So I'm just gonna go in with white. So you will make your slip knot and insert your hook right here on the seam, and then pull. And since this part is very wide, we are gonna reduce it a little bit, and then we can continue working our front post, back post double crochets. Now this is the first row, is gonna be like a foundation row where we're just placing single crochets in each and every row. So I've placed a single crochet here and a single crochet in here, and then I will cross over to this, you see this very stitch. This is our first front post double crochet. We will go in and do a single crochet right there, and then we are going to chain one and cross over to the next part, which is this one, and do you see I've done a front post single crochet, and then do chain one and go into the next front post double crochet and do a front post single crochet like that, and chain one and go in here with a front post single crochet. As we're doing this, you will notice that we are kind of gathering our stitches together. Instead of chaining two, we are chaining one and going into the next, where now we will be doing a stitch and a stitch. So we'll be having a front post and a back post. I will show you when we get to that part. So we will chain one and go in with a single with a single stitch on this front post like that. So I'm gonna do this until I get to the end, where I'm just chaining one and doing a front post single crochet, chain one and do a front post single crochet, chain one and do a front post single crochet like that. So you see, as we're doing this, our work is snatching up a little bit instead of being that wide, and then we go to the next and do the same, chain one and go to the next and do the same, chain one and go into the next with like that, chain one, go into the next. So this is what you should be having at this point, and I'm gonna chain one. I've already chained one and go to this stitch and do that front post single crochet, and then I'm gonna do a single crochet here in this stitch, another single crochet here, and we will place a single crochet on this seam that we did, the shoulder seam. We will place a single crochet over here and then cross over to the other side, do a single crochet in this row, another single crochet on this row, and then slide to this part and start doing our front post single crochets. And then chain one, do a front post single crochet, chain one, do a front post single crochet. We're gonna do this until we get to the other side of the where we started. So when we get to this part, we will chain one, or rather we will go right into this row and do a single crochet, go right into the next and do a single crochet, and then where we started from on the seam, we will slip stitch, and we are done with that reducing row. Okay, so we are getting ready for the back loop and front loop. I'm going to insert my first double crochet in this first stitch, And then since this is the next stitch over here, I'm gonna do a front loop, a front post double crochet right there, and then I'm gonna do a a double crochet on the following stitch, and then go into the next with a back post, a front post, and go into the next with a double crochet. So we are laying foundation for back posts that will come in right here, but at the moment we're having the front post and a double crochet. So where we had a single crochet, we are placing there as a double crochet like this, and where we had that chain one, we are placing a double crochet, and where we have a front post, we are placing a front post. So this is the chain one space, and that is where I'm gonna go with just a double crochet, and this is where our front post is. I'll do a front post. So I'm gonna do this all around. Where we have a chain one, we will do a double crochet, and where we have a front post, I'll do a front post double crochet like that. I'm gonna do this all around, and now this is just laying a foundation for our next row, where we will be having front posts and back post double crochets. This is where our origin is, but I need to talk about this other side. After you do this front post over here, make sure you have 3 stitches, whereby you will get a front post, back post, front post, back post, and then a front post. And then you will continue doing the front posts and the double crochets on this part. And then also here, since I have a front post on this stitch, this will be a back post, this will be a front post, and then we will complete. I just slip stitched from where we started, from that chain 2. I have just slip stitched at that point. So now to start the next row, you will look at your work very objectively. This is going to be a front post, definitely. So that means the stitch before it should be a back post. So I'm going to chain 2 and then do a back post as my first stitch, and then go into the next stitch and do a front post. And now, since my work is the maths is working, I'm gonna do a front post and then a back post, a front post, and then a back post, and I will do this all around the neck area. So this is what we're going to be having, just front post followed by back post all around this part, so that we have that ribbing on the neck area. Now I need to point out that since we are working on this, you see the front post from the front panel and the back panel, they will be pouring into the front posts on the ribbed area on the neck. So we also have to put into account for that part. So to complete the neck, I went ahead to do a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of front post and back post double crochets. And as we had said before, you see how the front posts are pouring into the front posts like that, just as we had done on the sleeve also, where everything is just pouring into this part and it looks so final and neat. Also, this part has the same thing, even though there is the back loops and the front loops. Now, I hope you're pleased with your work. As I completed mine, I realized that I can also add a touch, and let me just zoom in. As I was saying, I realized that we can add a touch where I just did a chain long enough to tie around my waist. So this is just a chain that I did, and then I passed it through the first row that we did over here. So this is to help you make gather this lower part. I will insert a photo here for you to see. So it gathers this part, in that if your sweater is too loose at the bottom, you can just give it this touch. It's also very beautiful, and it leaves those gathers, and you will tie it at the side like this. So if you have watched this video to this part, that means you are interested in making this sweater. And if you do, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see how your sweaters turn out. And also thank you so much for watching and for subscribing. Please leave me a comment down below letting me know how you found the process of making this sweater, and what is that one thing that you love about it, or two things. Anyways, there's not just one thing to like, there's a lot to like about this sweater: the texture, the size, and everything, and just how this stitches are. It's a beautiful stitch, and I hope you like it as much as I do. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next video. My name is Marion of Marion Crochets.